And a good morning to you. It's baseball for breakfast here with two games on the horizon for the Cardinals in Cincinnati. I'm Joe Roderick, joined alongside by Mike Claiborne here on Sports Hub STL, sponsored by DraftKings. The crown is yours. This, of course, is Cards Hub 365, presented by Gray Bar. Claibs, yesterday we found out early in the evening, the Cardinals and Reds rained out and moved to a doubleheader today, a mid-series doubleheader. 2 games today, still 1 game tomorrow. What kind of goes into the planning or the scheduling of something like that when Major League Baseball looks at opponents like this where they're going to play each other later in the year and says, you know what, we just need to get this doubleheader done tomorrow?
Well, I think it has a couple of things that go into it. One, you don't want to have too many stacked up later in the year. That's the first thing. Second thing is, you look at the weather and you kind of figure out, is this playable? And basically, MLB decides it. And I'm not sure if I'm all in on that because of the fact that there's a lot of times people sit around for all the wrong reasons, waiting and waiting and waiting as if there's going to be a window. And they're getting the weather from the same people you and I are. So, I mean, it's not a situation that really changes that much, but it's really more along the line of not having too many doubleheaders stacked up later in the year where everybody's crying at that point about pitching. Now you probably have enough fresh pitching to get you through this. So I think that's one of the reasons why we see it this way this early.
And you mentioned, the baseball, MLB is the one that steps in and does this. Home team ownership, I mean, do they have any say? Like, if this happens in St. Louis, do the DeWitts, do they at least get on the phone with somebody and say, hey, you know what? We're going to take a killing if we play two afternoon games in a row, middle of the week on concessions. Like, can we look at some other options?
I'm sure that comes into play. Because you're right, they're going to have 2-day games, and school is in, by the way, where you may not have the kind of crowd. And you're right, concessions is where these teams make money. And if you don't have people in the ballpark, it's pretty hard to make money if you don't have concessions. So I'm sure that there was some suggestion on maybe having a doubleheader later in the year, at least if the school's out. But I'm sure Cincinnati, they couldn't be excited about this.
No.
And because tomorrow you have a getaway day, and that's a traditional day where it's the final game of a schedule and the team is leaving, and it's more of a courtesy because some teams don't even do it,
right?
Or they do it very seldom. So yeah, Cincinnati's going to take the hit here.
Quite a few afternoon games on the docket today in all of Major League Baseball. Cardinals and Reds will kick things off 11:40 Central Time for the first pitch. Miles Mikolas, Brady Singer. It was the matchup we thought we were going to see last night, so no changes there with the pitchers for Game 1 in the series. And Claibs, we have lineups out for the game that starts here in about 2.5 hours. The Cardinals have made no changes to what they're going with. It's Lars Nootbaar in right, Mason Wynn playing short, Brendan Donovan at left, Nolan Arenado at third, Wilson Contreras DHing, Alec Burleson at first, Nolan Gorman at second, Joel Pozo catching, Victor Scott II in center field. For the Reds, TJ Friedel is in center, Matt McLean is at second, Ellie De La Cruz at short, Gavin Lux DHing, Novelli Marte is at third, Spencer Steer at first, Jake Fraley in right, Jose Trevino behind the plate, and Tyler Callahan is out in left. Before we get to the Cardinal lineup and talk about some of the changes that we didn't have a chance to really get into on yesterday's show. I don't think they were out yet when Brendan and Stefan did the show. But for the Reds, you had mentioned last night the lineup that was announced. This is a little different, even though they're still going against Miles Mikolas here in the game, early game today.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that come into play. Tyler Callahan, I don't believe was even on the roster yesterday. You have to check and see the transactions. I did not have him on the roster. Also, Espinal was scheduled to play left field, so maybe there is the flip there. I don't know if Espinal is still on the roster. And Austin Wynns was scheduled to catch yesterday in the first game. And that doesn't mean you won't see him in some of those players in the second game. I mean, there's a lot of baseball to be played over the next 24 hours, so you may see that situation come back, as we mentioned, with the lineup from yesterday.
Here are the transactions. Actually, Claibs, 18 minutes ago, the Reds tweeted this out. Tyler Callahan added to the roster today to replace Jameer Candelario, who had a lumbar spine strain.
Yamar Candelario. Yeah,
Okay.
he's been around for a little bit, so obviously not able to go. So as I thought, like I said, when I was filling out the rosters yesterday, I did not see Callahan's name on there anywhere. So
he is making his major league debut today. This is his so he'll have the patch on the uniform and everything today for his game. First major league appearance for Tyler Callahan. Is this a guy that you've heard anything about in the Red system?
No, I have not. I know he had a decent spring. I do know that. But I didn't think he would be called up this early.
Yeah, just quickly looking here, nothing too big on him. The other one that was mentioned, Chase Petty, he is the 27th man today for the Reds, and they're throwing him right into the mix and giving him the start in Game 2, where the Cardinals kind of benefit from having the 6-man rotation in action, and also having Steven Matz just available, having that 6 starter on the roster. The Cardinals just slide right in with all of their plans, where the Reds have to go down to Louisville and grab a pitcher for the afternoon game today. Probably means the Cardinals will get 2 hit in the late game.
Those new guys, I mean, they just do the Cardinals in. I mean, I don't know what and Ali and I were talking about this last week because we had a pitcher that we faced that we had not seen before. And, there's so much more information about guys now. It used to be you go around a clubhouse and ask, well, did you ever face this guy in the minors? Well, with the information that's available to them now, they can see what their starts were and see what they have, and they can be better prepared for it. But, man, it's something about when they get on the mound that just changes things. I don't know what it is, but it's always been that way for the Cardinals. And I'm sure there's some other teams that have probably endured that as well. But, man, when you see those new faces out there, if you don't get them early, you don't get them.
It not only, I mean, you have all of this, you have all the video, you have all the stats. I mean, you have the iPads in the dugout. So you are watching video of these guys in AAA, in the minors, in spring. I mean, as you're sitting there getting ready to go. And to take it a step further, I remember last year you saw stories of guys in the minor leagues when they were facing, I think they were facing Jacob deGrom in a rehab assignment. And they went and they loaded up MLB The Show. They went and played video games to see the pitches, because those are becoming so realistic now that you're able to sit there and you're able to watch these guys throw their pitches on a video game and see it from that angle too. There are so many resources that you have to kind of get an idea.
It's gone one step further. Now you have teams that have the simulator that shows every pitcher, his delivery, what he throws, the whole 9 yards. And, you get about 50 swings over the course of time. So you really know what a guy looks like now. I mean, they have made the only thing short of you seeing a guy in batting practice is him not throwing himself.
Right. And you have the curveball machines that if you're facing a guy like a Kershaw or a Wainwright back in the day,
you're missing it.
Yeah.
They have the guy. If Brady Singer right now, they have every game he's ever thrown. They have his delivery. They have his likeness, the whole 9 yards.
Are you talking about like the video game, like the golf simulator thing that you're throwing it to him in, like that?
Yeah, it's probably more advanced than that.
And it's just coming right there right out of the slot. It's
a game changer. It's been a game changer for some teams. Not everybody has it, but the ones who do speak volumes of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if everybody else makes an investment, because it's so like-minded. As I said, the only difference is the guy himself isn't pitching. Now, with that said, you have to take into account that this is what you saw in his last outing. He may have a bad bullpen. He may have a sore arm, or his slider may not be working, or maybe he doesn't have enough velo on his fastball, which is why with all the information that you have, you still better watch the game. And that's why the leadoff hitter is so important, a guy who can make him throw pitches. So everybody else can see, okay, he has this today compared to what he didn't have. And if he does have this today, at least you know what to look for and how it looks coming out of his hand.
This is Cards Hub 365, powered by Gray Bar, also sponsored by our friends at DraftKings. The crown is yours. And with baseball season officially underway, time to step up to the plate with DraftKings Pick 6. Think of DraftKings Pick 6 as your fastball right down the middle, the easiest way to play for cash and take a shot at a big win. Just select 2 or more players and choose if they'll have more or less of a stat. Cash in your baseball knowledge now with DraftKings Pick 6. Use code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5. Get $50 in Pick 6 credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Claibs, we see the lineup for the Cardinals today. Ollie going with the same that he had originally planned for last night. And the biggest thing that jumps out at you when you see it is Mason Wynn moved all the way up to the 2 slot. What do you think the Cardinal manager has seen out of Mason Wynn, or I guess seen out of his options with who he could bat at the top there that have allowed him to move Mason Wynn up there since his return?
Yeah, I think he's trying to put him in a situation where he's going to get better pitches. When you look at the lineup and you think about the fact that you have Wynn hitting 9th, so now all of a sudden you have a chance to have some base runners. But I really look at more than anything else the fact that you would have Donovan hitting behind Wynn, and maybe Wynn will see some better pitches along the way. We know Nootbaar is going to see some pitches. So at that point, maybe it just changes up the look and puts him in a better position to really be able to do some damage in that spot. You know, there was a point where he was a pretty good 2-strike hitter. Now, he's obviously gotten off to a little bit of a tough start, but he's starting to see the ball better. And maybe with Brady Singer on the mound, who doesn't throw hard, he's crafty. Maybe that'll be a difference maker. You know, for a lot of guys, they haven't seen Brady Singer. You know, Cardinals haven't faced Brady Singer since 2000, 2001. So it's been a while. So since anyone's actually seen him, where you can have a legitimate book on him. We know he's been a good pitcher in Kansas City, and I thought that was an interesting deal that Kansas City made. They were a little clogged up on the infield, so they moved Jonathan India, and they ended up getting Singer in return, who was a former first-round pick himself. But, you know, when you think about him, he's more of a fly ball pitcher, and I don't know how you think a fly ball pitcher is going to work in Cincinnati, but he's 4-0, so I guess it works so far.
Yeah, surprisingly, the Cardinals as an organization might not have faced him in the past 4 years or so. Only one Cardinal comes into the game today with any at-bats at all against Brady Singer, that being Wilson Contreras, 1 for 2 with against Brady Singer in his career. For everybody else, this will be their first time ever seeing him. As you can imagine, a lot of the Reds players have at-bats against Miles Mikolas in their career. That number 2 spot in the order, that has been kind of, you know, Ollie has to be, I would say, pulling his hair out, but there's nothing there. He's got to be just kind of going back and forth every day, trying to figure out who's going to be there, because Wilson Contreras was the guy to start the year, had the horrible start to his season. You put Ivan Herrera up there, he gets hurt the very first game. You move Ivan Herrera up to the 2 spot. We have seen everybody else kind of get a shot at that number 2 spot in the lineup. And this goes back even, I think, to last year too, when they tried putting Paul Goldschmidt in that number 2 hole for the Cardinals. This has been something that they have struggled with to find who is going to be there as part of one of those table setters.
Yeah, it has been a little bit of a head scratcher, but it's also a flexible position in the order too. Depending on whether you have a lefty or a righty, you want to have your best, opposite-handed guy in that spot because Nootbaar is going to lead off for the most part. And then there'll be times, I think, as Wynn gets better, you may see Wynn take off in the leadoff spot. So, as long as you're trying to put the best opposition out there. I don't really have a problem with it. You're always going to have one spot in the order where you're going to flip flop and where you want to try and be creative, and you want to do it early in the ball game. So with this situation, wind swinging the bat a little bit better right now, but I think more than anything else, being sandwiched between two guys who can put it in play. He's Singer's going to have to come to him. So I think that may be a reason too.
This is the last day of April. Lars Nootbaar in that leadoff spot has set a record for most games started with a walk. I think I was one that when they started Nootbaar at that leadoff spot, I understood it. After the spring that Mason Wynn had, I knew that was kind of the only option they had. I wasn't thrilled about it at first, but as it's gone on, he has proven to be a really, really solid leadoff guy that understands the role that he plays at the start of the game.
Yeah, he has. And I think your point is a very good one with regard to, I don't know if Nootbaar be the leadoff man had Wynn not been so bad in spring training. I think that had a lot to do with it. The question is also, how many times does Lars Nootbaar score from when he walks? And, we're so traditional in St. Louis. We still have people that think the only way a leadoff guy should be is unless he's somewhere between Lou Brock and Vince Coleman, as far as getting on, stealing bases, and doing things of that nature. Game has changed a little bit. Instead of that guy being able to steal a base, you hope that a base hit can make him go from first to third. You have to be a very good base runner. And, Nootbaar's been pretty good. And that's something that gives you comfort where two things are going to happen. You touched on the walk, but then you also have the ability to see a lot of pitches. And, I always said it, you got to watch the game, man. If you see a guy, he can't get a pitch over for strikes against certain people, you got to take that in your mind and say, all right, this is a pitch I'm taking off the table that I don't think he can get over, so I'm going to look for something else. That's one of those deals that I think you have to really pay attention to.
Claims a few people in the chat have chimed in what you were talking about earlier. Is it the tragic arc? Is that the name of the machine that the major league teams are using?
Yeah. That's one of them. There's two of them out there. That's one of them.
Looking at I pulled it up on the website, and that tragic arc, it has 1,500 plus professionals. It says here that that can, I guess, be used through this. It says 25 different teams are currently using it, and it has the ability to show you. It says 1.7 million pitches, I think is what it says on here. I'm just going off of what their website says. So that's it seems like, this is a pretty crazy watching the video of how this machine works to see it.
Here's the other thing you have to take into account. Now that you have all this information, you still have to find a way to put your bat on the real ball. Mm-hmm. That's something that you can't overlook. This is a hard sport. And still to make contact, knowing that he's throwing it, knowing that it maybe has movement, maybe it has more movement than you anticipated, but at the end of the day, just putting bat on ball, I think has been paramount when you have this element put in your position. And I don't know how much batting averages have gone up since this thing has been put into place. Now, some guys may speak volumes of it because they get hooked on it, but I don't know if a guy's gone. Who was the guy who went? He went 0 for 41.
Oh, Jock Peterson.
I don't know if he was using it or not, and if he did, he might want to get his money back. But it's one of those deals where it's still hard, man. It's still hard putting the bat on the ball.
Do you know if the Cardinals have it? Can you speak to if the Cardinals have it?
There has been rumor to such.
Okay. I had a few people in the chat also asking that, so figured I'd do my due diligence and throw the question out there for you. I will say, if you want to go and look at just how hard it is hitting a pitch and seeing that, I've said this on many shows, especially with you, Claibs, over the last few years. On Twitter, it's the account Pitching Ninja, Rob Friedman of the Pitching Ninja. If you go and watch the overlays that he does, he had one from Friday night when Paul Skeens faced the Dodgers and showed, I think it was Skeens had 9 strikeouts against the Dodgers in that Friday night matchup. and he did an overlay of all 9 of the strikeout pitches. Claibs, they go in 9 different directions. So it's when we sit up here and we complain and you watch the games at home and you yell at your TV about it and get mad at guys for striking out, go watch a video like that for what those guys are facing with, milliseconds to react to such a pitch.
Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head. Milliseconds to react. And if you're distracted by anything, guys trying to steal a base or a guy's delivery is a little funky, whatever, that's all the time you need to get out. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. And, I think some people take it for granted that they can do it, or they think the person should be better at it. I never begrudge players who are in that position. Now, obviously, you don't want them to strike out, as often as some. And you figure, well, there's got to be an adjustment. But, man, when it's all said and done, this is hard. This is not easy by any means.
Nope. Cards Up 365, powered by our friends over at Gray Bar. And if you're suffering from supply chain issues and they're disrupting your operations, have no fear. Gray Bar has you covered, and you can rely on their nationwide logistics network to get what you need, where they need, when they need to get there, all within budget. Visit graybar.com to start an order today. That's graybar.com. And fix those supply chain issues with Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and data comm needs. We didn't mention it early in the show. Gordon Graceffo added as the 27th man on the roster today. He will be eligible for game 2 of the series today. Just as you look at maybe some of the struggles that we have seen Michaelis have in spring training and in the Boston game, were you surprised they stuck with Michaelis early, Matt's late, just to knowing you have that extra arm in the bullpen for the second game?
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing that goes into it. Yeah, Miles Michaelis, and you can look it up, he's really good in the first 5 innings, okay? It's when he goes through the order that third time is when his numbers go through the roof. So if Miles Michaelis is pitching a no-hitter through 5 and they turn that lineup over again, I'm getting him out of the ballgame. And that's who he is. And they've done everything you can think of to try and address that. But, man, it's staggering to see what those numbers look like that third time through. You have a rested bullpen. You can segment this thing any way you want. The challenge is you're going to have somebody come back in less than 24 hours tomorrow to pitch out of the bullpen. So you have to find the guy who is best in recovery. And who's to say Matz is a pretty good pitcher in this situation. So it will be certainly dependent upon what Michaelis does early. But I will say this, if he blows up early, they're going to let him eat it. I don't see how you let him, you can't come to the rescue. If he gets whacked in the second or third inning, he's got to stay there for 5 at least.
Similar to Fetty on the other day. It's, he was getting hit hard. It's, hey, you got to get us through this amount of innings. I don't care how hard you're getting hit. You got 90 pitches for us. Go out there and keep throwing until you get to 90.
And you know what? The thing about Fetty, it wasn't that he was getting hard. He was just getting dinked and dunked. I mean, there weren't any home runs hit off of him. They weren't any maverick shots. It was just, they just found holes. They were going right back up the middle, and they were just really making him pay for his location. I mean, for a guy who has more walks and strikeouts, that should tell you something right there that, if you look, you can find something.
We have 2 post-game shows coming your way after games 1 and 2. So plenty of Cardinal discussion here on Sports Hub STL today. But coming up in about a half an hour, it's Randy Carricker and Brooke Grimsley with the Randy Carricker Show featuring Brooke Grimsley. And that comes your way here still on Sports Hub STL, where all of our content is brought to you by DraftKings. The crown is yours. He's Mike Claiborne. I'm Joe Roderick. See you in a bit here on Sports Hub STL.